Now we're going to do a chicken quinoa soup, and I'm actually going to hand it off to my better half. She's much better looking than I think you're going to thoroughly enjoy it.
Hi everybody, I'm taking over the kitchen this afternoon. The kids have asked that I make a video on how to make chicken soup.
Chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup with a soda on the side. Chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup with a soda on the side.
I got the main ingredients here. I make different variations of chicken soup. Used to be just plain old chicken noodle soup. Then it went to chicken and dumpling soup because it was easier than making noodles. And so then I changed it up and I started making chicken, wild rice, and quinoa soup, just for the health of it. The kids love it, all except Brady. He still asks to have the dumplings put in it, and you can do that too. Some of the ingredients, just your main ingredients, I like to use chicken thighs or hindquarters. We just like the dark meat better. The wild rice mixture, quinoa, I use a little Lowry's for seasoning, celery salt, pepper. If it's not quite enough chicken flavor, I add some chicken base. Vegetables are the celery, onion, and carrots. I'll get all this prepared and then we'll be back and we'll put it all together. Okay, first step, everybody, is I get the chicken cooking. I like to use a pressure cooker. I know a lot of people are afraid of pressure cookers. I use the old pressure cooker. If you have an Instant Pot, that would work perfect. You just gotta get your chicken cooked so you can debone it and get it in the soup. We'll get this going in the pressure cooker.
Got some water in there, huh?
Yeah, I about cover it with water. I'm gonna use that same water for the soup. I'm gonna add just a little bit of the celery salt now. Pressure this for about 25 minutes if the chicken's already thawed. I did go ahead and take this off until the steam started coming up because I wanted to know for sure how long it took for that to get up to pressure. Everybody's stoves are going to be different. So once, now that there's steam coming out of here, I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on and I'm going to reduce the heat just a little bit. This pressure cooker doesn't rattle like some of the older ones, but it will rattle a little bit and I kind of keep the pressure so that I just can barely hear the rattle. And I'm going to go ahead and start the timer for 25 minutes. Okay everybody, I am back. Our chicken has about 12 more minutes left on it. Part of my problem with soup is I normally never measure, so I'm trying to figure out how much I use. We're gonna just start another kettle and just cook up all of our vegetables. I've got about 4 cups of celery. I got about 5 cups of carrots, which was about 8-9 carrots, and a full onion. And I'm gonna go ahead and put my seasonings in now. I don't like to over season. For now, I did a half a teaspoon of celery salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, and a half a teaspoon of Lowry's, and 1 teaspoon of sweet basil. The sweet basil is optional. Honestly, you can't taste it in a soup. I love the way it floats on top of soup. So that's why I put the sweet basil in. The chicken broth will get put in later. So I'm gonna cover this with water and get it going on the stove, and then we'll be back. Okay guys, I forgot to put seasonings in, so I'm gonna add the seasoning. And I'm also gonna add the quinoa and the wild rice now because this takes about 15 minutes to cook anyway. Everything gets mixed together anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that in with the vegetables. Now I'm not gonna overcook these vegetables, I just want them to be tender. I'm actually going to slow this down once the vegetables are to kind of a crispy tender. And then we'll add it to the chicken broth when the chicken is done. Chicken, after it is all cleaned off the bone, that will be the last thing we add to the soup. Thank you. Okay guys, we're back and the 25 minutes of pressuring the chicken is done. I shut off the burner and I waited till I couldn't hear any more steam coming out of here. Now I'm gonna take this off. That looks good.
I let it rain, I clear it out. I let it rain, I clear it out. I let it rain, I clear it out.
And then one little trick that I do have that the kids probably don't know that I do, but when I clean this chicken, I actually put the skin back into the soup and let it simmer with the skin in the soup just to get some of that good chicken fat in the soup. It's a lot of flavor. Vegetables started, they came to a hard boil and I just shut the burner off. The carrots are just half tender, which is where I want them. So I just shut the burner off and that quinoa and rice will continue to cook. So back to you later. Okay, while we're waiting for the chicken to cool before I cut it up, I decided I'm gonna go ahead and make some dumplings. Brady knows how to make dumplings. In fact, he just called me last week asking me for this recipe. I'm gonna make a small batch of dumplings. I'm just using 2 eggs. I'm gonna add about a half a teaspoon of chicken base. That's optional. You do not have to do that. You can just put a little salt in. I'm gonna put a little bit of salt in. I'm gonna put 3 tablespoons of milk. I don't measure anything, so I'm really not sure how much milk. I just do a gurgle, but that was 3 tablespoons, Brady. And then add flour to the consistency you need of dumplings. So I'm starting off with 2 cups of flour. I don't think it's gonna take 2 cups of flour, but I have no idea how much. If we're gonna make this into noodles, same recipe. You just add more flour so that it's to a consistency that you can roll them out and then just leave them dry. And then you just slice them up and put them in water or put them in your soup. These are dumplings. So far I have used more flour than I thought. I'm gonna add a little bit more. And then if I get a little too much for my dumplings, I'm gonna add a little more milk. Back to the exact ingredients. I ended up using 1.5 cups of flour to 2 eggs to about 5 tablespoons of milk. Okay, so we added the vegetables and the water that they cooked into the broth. We added 3 tablespoons of chicken base, tasted the broth, and it definitely needed more seasoning. Didn't want to overpower the vegetables. You never know how much seasoning you need. So I almost doubled it. I added another 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of Lowry's celery salt, pepper, and a little more basil just for the color. I'm not gonna add the chicken yet, but I am gonna show you how we use the dumplings. I'm gonna add a few dumplings to this for Brady. The dumplings consistency is about like this. It's not real sticky. If I was gonna make noodles, I would even add just a little more flour, but all you do is drop it into and this is like a low rolling boil. It's not really boiling heavy, but I like the dumplings to be small. So you just do it like that. The kids sometimes want a big one. And so once in a while, I'll do that for them. I'll do that, but I like them little, so I just break them off small and just drop them into the water. We'll add the chicken at the very end because if you add the chicken now, it gets real stringy. So the last thing when you're ready to serve, you add the chicken, and then that's it. We've got the dumplings all done, and we are gonna add the chicken.
How much chicken is it, Karen?
You know, we started off with 5 pounds of chicken thighs, and Randy, with his handy dandy scale, weighed out the cooked chicken, and this is only 2 pounds of chicken.
Time you took the skin and the bones out and cooked it down?
Exactly. So it sounds like a lot, 5 pounds of chicken thighs, but it's really only 2 pounds of meat. So
2 pounds, 1 ounce.
sometimes when I add that in, it's a little too thick, and I add a little more water. So I'm gonna add a little more water to get more juice. And that's it. There's your chicken, wild rice, quinoa, and dumpling soup. Okay, we are back with the finished product, and I have my dishwasher here to do the taste test.
Hi guys, I was demoted today, but I get the honors of doing the taste test. So here we go.
Does it pass?
That's really good. It's just a lot of flavor. There's the vegetables, the quinoa, the chicken, the dumpling. Awesome.
That's optional. That's for Brady.
Very good.
Chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup with the soda on the side. Chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup, chicken noodle soup.